ADHD, ADD, dyslexia, advanced, whatever. So even mild autism. Folks, it's your humble homesteader friend coming to you from my gathering place, I guess, whatchamacallit. And today I wanted to talk to you about all these labels and sort of made up almost disorders and diseases and whatever that the drug companies can benefit from by having you pigeonholed into, or us. Let's go to ADHD. After having and during my many years of post-secondary, I didn't even know that I had this. And this is not, again, a disorder, it's a trait. And it's a positive. And I will prove that to you. But when I was little, there was no recognition of it. It was just either, at best, the parents were told that the kid doesn't apply himself, or worst possible case, the kid's stupid, or whatever, out to La La Land. Now, if you go back 10,000, 100,000 years ago, as we lived in herds, as we are herd animals, and the one guy that was hypersensitive to its surroundings, that could, today you might say, was distracted instead of harvesting or foraging or whatever, would stand up and look around, listen to something that didn't sound or look right. These people were very important in that society at the time, because while everyone else was busy doing their thing, gathering, foraging, maybe even hunting, that one person that saw an anomaly in something, maybe noticed a bigger animal, even though we may have been an apex predator at the time, I'm not sure, but very little tools and ways of protecting ourselves. There might have been a lion or a tiger or something that could have been crouching somewhere hidden that we didn't see as a group of hunters, for instance. Whereas that one person would think something just moved there. Today, you talk about people, someone that has been labeled as with ADHD, that as they're talking to you, say, "Oh, look, a butterfly." And that's very funny. But back then, these people were very important, or else to the survival of the community, the whole herd, the whole community wouldn't exist without them, because they would know. For instance, I'll just talk about my own self, and then you can tell me if either you or someone you know has these traits, and then apply it to that. It took me a long time to figure this out, and I'll tell you how I came to know of these traits. I see patterns, like this branch of a tree, or this is an actual tree that you may be able to see in front of the lens. I'm not sure, off to your left. I've talked about this one time when I did a video on what's inside of this structure. If you haven't already seen it, if you've not already seen it, go back and look for it. And I'm fascinated by all the details on things and in things, or anomalies in things, or patterns, fractals, how things form, how things repeat, how things come to be, inner workings. So when I see something that's not right, when I see something that seems out of place, when I see something, when I feel and I sense, now I'm trying to, and I'm learning more now that I'm in this forest setting, that without the distraction of the city, I'm able to focus more on the structure of things, just to be able to even sense when something's not I don't want to say right, but something's not does something that doesn't fit the pattern, the normal pattern. Why is that one leaf gone, one branch gone, as opposed to when all the branches have the exact same spacing, and every however number of intervals one goes however whichever way, and that what happens to that one branch? Does that one branch eventually become the leader, straightens up, becomes the leader, or is that a branch that it goes off to the side, and is it to block the wind, or is it reaching out to the sun through all these other branches that you may be able to see through the windows? What's the purpose of it? Now, I remember when I was in school for 9 years, in addition to the 13 that I was forced to go to, and I remember how my mind was all over the place, even when I was in grade school. If the teacher was writing something on the wall, I'd be more focused on other kids looking at what the teacher's doing. So he's over there writing something on the board, and that's on the wall. What kind of school is this? Writing something on the board, and I'm looking to see what other kids are doing, what their reaction is, what they're taking in, what they're understanding, or if they're puzzled or not, and they're thinking, what is he writing? And what does that mean? Are they copying it? Are they writing it down? Are they getting it? And so if you can imagine a mind of someone, and again, actually before I go into that, what they label as ADHD, I want to take that. I want us to, if you or someone you know has these traits or has been diagnosed, take this acronym and flip it to what we normally do as resilient people as we are. You can, let's see, for A you could say advanced, for D you can say driven, for H you could still say hyperactive. We have a lot of energy. That's not a bad thing to have a lot of energy. I would rather have a lot of energy than to be sedentary somewhere, sit somewhere and say, well, I'll just take my computer or gadget and I just watch TikTok for the next 3 days. I'd rather be outside doing something. Even if I'm inside, I'd rather be doing something. So that was the H for the hyperactivity. D, instead of a disorder, you can turn that into a by design. And now, again, nature, or in my case, I believe that there is a guy upstairs, although I'm anti-organized religions, all of them. I do believe that there's a programmer up there that's programmed us and everything. And so this is also by design. So when I first learned about, actually, I'll tell you how I learned about this so-called disorder. I was playing badminton, which is one of my very few sports that I like to actually play. I'm not a sports guy, sportsman, whatever. So she's about a couple of years older than me, and this is about 12, 13 years ago in another province. And we're playing badminton, just rallying. Oh, and she was she probably still is. I lost touch. I'm not on social media. I'll just say that at that time, she was a special needs teacher, or I don't want to say vocational school, but I guess maybe it was a vocational school. I don't know, but she taught kids that had that were labeled with whatever, like me, I suppose. And she was just rallying back and forth, and she said, "Have you ever looked into ADHD?" And I thought, that came out of nowhere. What's that about? And she said, "No, okay, never mind. Don't worry about it." I said, "Okay, fine." Still in the back of my head. About a couple of weeks later, I'm driving to my local gym, and on the radio, it's like as I'm switching constantly through channels to find something decent to listen to, be it a sort of a not a podcast, but talk radio of some sort or decent music. This thing came. I was catching the very last bit of it about ADHD and blah blah ADHD, and I thought, oh, that's what I should say. I don't know if I can say. Anyway, shout out to Alexandra. And I thought, well, that's what she told me to look into. What was that about? Well, I just arrived at the gym, and I didn't have anything on me. I don't have a cell phone at the time. I didn't. I just go to the gym, do my thing, come back, and by that time I'd forgotten about it. And I'll tell you why, if I can remember by then. So I go on about my business. A couple of weeks later, I'm still driving. I'm on my way home this time, and same scenario, just switching stations, constantly scanning. And it says something like something ADHD week or awareness or whatever. You know. I go, what, this again? So as soon as I arrive home, I jump on the computer and I start to look it up. And as I read, the result, the search results, and I go take whatever, and I said take the test for to know if you can, if you want to know if you have this ADHD. I take one and maybe two, and I'm thinking everything that's there, it's a tick for me. Yes. Thinking, oh my God, that explains so much, my whole life, my entire life. And I just sat there thinking, this is the worst day, one of the worst days of my life. Within minutes, not days, not weeks, within minutes, this is a trait that I thought, wait a minute, if anyone is equipped and trained to fix this, and that's what school makes you think, that you can fix things, it's me. I know the Western health approach, and I know the holistic, like a herbal, naturopathic approach. Between these two, I can figure out, now that I know what my problem is, I can fix it. So as I'm scrolling down, and this is something, there was a page, there's a link, there's a it's a word I'm looking for, an option or a search result that said famous people with ADHD traits. I go, okay, whatever. What else you got? What else you got? And I would stop and I would think, oh, no, forget it. Don't get distracted. Focus on what you're doing. Did that a couple of times, and I thought, no, let's see what this is. So I go back up and find that link or whatever, click on it, and I look at all the notables, all the people that made any, if not all the differences in shaping us into who we are today, with some traits of this ADHD. If you haven't already done this, go ahead and look for it for yourself. But these are some of the people that I found. Some of my heroes, incidentally, Leonardo da Vinci, Albert Einstein, even people that are not dead, like Will Smith, Robert Williams. Well, Robert Williams is now, but at the time he wasn't. Gustav Eiffel. A lot of people had that particular trait, and if they didn't have it, they had some other ones that were on the spectrum, like dyslexia. I still can't read. Who are some of the people that can? Anyway, you go ahead and maybe Benjamin Franklin, Abraham Lincoln. Some of Thomas Edison, some of the people that without them we wouldn't have much of what we have today. So I'll just leave you with that. You can go look it up yourself. Now, I thought, wait a minute, I'm in good company. At the time that these folks were around, there were no drugs. There was not even any natural healing of these folks. And they did all right. And I thought, you know what? If I'm in with the company that of all the people that I like and love and admire, I'm not gonna look to alter myself in any way. And so I'm good how I am, and I'm gonna leave it. Now, that's that part. Now, in my own particular case, I can't speak for you or anyone else. I used to, and I still do, call myself a babbling idiot. Well, to be fair, I have a connection with Babylon. So anyway, ancestries from near there. But all joking aside, when I figured out why that is, I was at peace. And this is how my brain works. I'm going to put it to you the way that you might understand if you don't have these traits. Because once you hear me talk about it, you'll know that, yeah, you have it, and this is how you do it. Imagine if on your computer, you know how you have on the top, you have these small tabs that you've opened for throughout the day or the week, whatever, that if you're searching, or these are web pages that you frequent or whatever, they're up there, and when you need them, you click on them. But it's not the main page that you're looking at. So I have that. Only on my computer, that tab line can go. You can scroll it sideways. It can go for quite some time, and then. So these are all the thoughts that I have in my head that are not necessarily running full time, other than what I'm looking at the screen. But should something come up, all of a sudden I think, oh yeah, I can connect this to the thought that I had about whatever. I go open that window. I say, yes, this makes sense now. So now, if I were to tip this on its side and extend it like that, and then reduce the weight of it by whatever, it's a bit of an engineering, bit of a designing, bit of a tinkering. I love doing that, so that's why they're there. But because these windows are open, they're like those apps on your phone, I guess. that if you don't close them or whatever, they slow down your processing time. But they're there. And then, so that's as far as how much I've got going at the same time in my head. Now, on a bit of a side note, when I go to speak, motory sensors, when I go to speak, anyone goes to speak, your brain does a thought process, forms a sentence or a question or whatever, sends it down to your mouth, and then you speak it, you say it. I'm no different there than anyone else. But in my case, in our case, anyone else that can relate to, is that whilst that thought formation was formed and fired off to go to its final destination and start saying it, another thought has formed, and a more, not necessarily a 2.0, but related, that's just as important as the first one, gets processed and gets sent down to be said. While that the second thought process, second sentence is being sent, ordered to be presented, the third, fourth, fifth. And so when you add all of these together, and they're happening so fast, faster than any lightning, that by the time the words come out, you sound like a babbling idiot, not making sense to a listener or the person you're talking to necessarily. Now, unless I have a neighbor who her brain works so fast, I would say quantum speed, at quantum speed. I open my mouth. There are times that I've literally opened my mouth. Just the sound of the first word coming out, she's heard it, processed what I'm saying, had a response to it, had a good laugh, and replied to it. Now, those people are extraordinary. I wish I could be like that. I don't really know too many people like that. I only just know that one person. Shout out to Aggie. Anyway, but I have a hard time. I'm not retarded, like, if you can say whatever the word is, or stupid. And we can't say that either. Slow. It's just there's so much happening all at once that it's difficult to get it all out. It's possible that we do better on our own because we don't have to share these with anyone else. So if I'm working on a discovery of something, I don't want to say invention, because to say something is an invention or I invented something would suggest that it wasn't there before. Someone once told me, do you know, when I was saying this to someone, what I just said to you about discovery and invention, he said, do you know what Mount Everest was called before it was discovered? Have you heard this? Do you know? I said, no. What? And he said, the same, Mount Everest. It's just they didn't know it. It was still there. It was still the biggest whatever mountain. It was something was like a white paper birch tree. It was still there. We just didn't have a name for it. We just didn't call it. Cedar tree was still there. So I don't want to say that I have inventions, but I've discovered things. And by the way, folks, a lot of you know that many discoveries were often made whilst we were the people that discovered and were looking for something else. Again, is that by design? Did somebody, one person or a group of more intelligent people, for instance, nudge someone towards it a little bit at a time, or maybe they were sleeping? I don't know. There's so much we don't know, and there's to suggest that we know everything, and we really we know this much. This is what I say to people, that some of the people that know me. I say, for instance, let me just, because this is what I usually do. if this, better a piece of wood, sliver of wood, or thin, it's not even thick. It's thick on, it's not thick, it's wider on this side, and look how thin, it's like wafer thin. If, you see, if this represents how much I know, this room, look at the size of it, look at the volume of it, it's I think 480 square feet. Represents how much I would still need to learn. And if you ask me, more as humanity, as all of us put together, probably need to learn more. And look how little space this takes. To fill this space, to fill this 480 square feet with this, imagine how much knowledge you need to have to fill this. Still, some of us think that we know things, and that maybe I discovered something. I'm important. I have maybe a PhD, and I've mastered something, and there's no more that I can learn about really anything. And then even then, some people are so hyper focused on, when you do your PhD, I just mentioned, you could be focused on such a narrow point of research or study that you may miss the big picture. And I'm all about the big picture. I do notice fine details, and I demand it, although I can't do it myself. But I do see it, but I'm more about the big picture. Why anything? Why, when, how, where? All of these things. So my point today to you is that if you're younger, or if you're just discovering this, or this ADHD thing, or if you're not finding that you're fitting in, honestly, when I heard that this was 2%, no, not 2%, 5%, 5 to 7%, anyway, less than 10% of the population has these traits, the whole spectrum, if it's Asperger's, mild autism, ADD, ADHD, dyslexia, whatever, I think that's by design. It's not accidental that such a small portion, demographic has that. We can't all have that, because then there will be something else that's missed. For instance, I'm not very artistic. I shouldn't say that. I do a lot of, you see my creations, but what I mean to say is that I don't even want to say I'm not a very good, painter, or like any kind of a watercolor. Although my daughter tried to show me a few years ago how to draw oil on canvas, and I think I did all right. The reason why I think I did all right is because I'm not a perfectionist. I'm a good enough guy. You know what I mean? I don't waste so much time in something that I may or may not be able to perfect. I think that's good. I like that. That's good enough for me. Move along, because I have so many other things to do. And so, but what I mean is that I really do appreciate good artists, people that are, when I say good, I mean, it's in the eye of the beholder, or good musicians, a song that I relate to, a painting that I love, a sculpture that talks to me. I don't have much money, any money, but imagine if those patrons of arts, for instance, when they go into a gallery, that artist, a musician, a sculptor, a writer, whatever, somebody has to buy their work. If everybody was good at drawing or sculpting or whatever, then they wouldn't need to appreciate someone else's art and pay them for it, and so then those people could survive on that, and not get depressed that no one appreciates their work, and how am I going to make a living, how am I going to survive, how am I going to eat, how am I going to sell who's going to buy my paintings. So I do appreciate the people that are more artistically inclined. I'm more of like an engineer kind of thing. I see big pictures. I want to do big things, not because I want to do big things. I don't think minute. I see details. I once started a firm called, this was about 11 years ago, called Micro Mosaic. For those of you who don't know what a micro mosaic is or what it looks like, look it up. I think it started in Venice. I think it's a Venetian thing. So they would take tiny bits of glass, different colors of glass, even white, and glue it onto a surface, maybe enamel or not. And each one would have a different, even if it's like, say, red, different shades of red. If it's burgundy, different shades of burgundy. If it's white, different shades of white, grayish, whatever, yellow, and so on. You get it. They come together to form a picture of a portrait of a person, profile of a person, or mostly it was mostly that this was maybe 200-300 years ago. Look it up. So there would have been like brooches or a pendant or something like that. Most common. That's what when I had my antique shops, that's what I saw. And the point of it is that many little things would come together in this case, unrecognizable in otherwise. They would come together to form a picture. What a beautiful picture it was too. Micro mosaic. And so I started this firm, and it was I had heard that the unemployment rate was high. I myself was unemployed, and that's the other thing. We're problem solvers, like an engineer would. Whereas an engineer is working on a mechanical aspects of how a car moves, or how a saw cuts, or how a machine, many different gears come together to make up a form of a clock as we know it. Mine is in the shape of a much bigger thing, how a community is, or the society, or anyway. So and not like today, where there's so many jobs. Apparently, my understanding is. So then for my whole entire life, there was a shortage of jobs. More people looking for jobs than that there were jobs. So I came up with this. I formed this micro mosaic company, and I thought that we would have experts, so a web developer, a programmer, an app developer, what do you call it? The people that not design, but choose things for your house or for your office or whatever. I know some of you are shouting at me now the name of them, but I can't hear you. Not set designers. That's for a movie. Oh, not home designers, but you know what I mean, right? They put a couch somewhere and then a cushion somewhere under the curtains, and it might come to me. But anyway, even a baker, accountant, a lawyer, a PR, we would all come together, meet the client, and we wouldn't have an office. Meet the client at an open and public place, like a library, like farmer's market. But we had a Covent Garden. Upstairs of it was all chairs and big, beautiful windows. So sort of like here, but bigger. At a park. So or at a cafe. There was one organic one. There was only one organic one where in that city that we lived in. So we would not promote, but support that business, or if we're in the library, we're supporting the library or wherever. At the same time as it's an open office, so it's not like somebody has to go to someone's place and maybe be nervous about being there. Or if we have an office, we would have to pay an overhead to it, being a lease, heat, hydro, utilities, and all these other things. We wouldn't have any of that. And so that's what one place we would share. We would share the, not cost, but we would share the space, and we would support the people and look and have no cost. And so we would all, the client would sit there and say, so I want to start a bakery, for instance, or I have a bakery that's the sales are sluggish, or they're stagnant, or I can't seem to be able to make it, maybe in a place where all these superstores are making big batches of things, and they have bigger buying power and all that, and I can't make it. I don't seem to be able to make it. So we would either brand this person if they're starting for the first time, or rebrand them, so they can go back to work, totally different sort of a look, setup. Now they have a super, like, instead of this person would have to do their own accounting, do their own advertising, do their own social media, do their own whatever. We would, each one of our experts, whoever's an expert in that one particular field, would do it. And some of us obviously would go away after, because we wouldn't be needed anymore, but the accountant would stay there, would stay with the client. I mean, over the years, I mean, and each one of our experts would charge their very own rate of pay. So say two accountants, not to undercut one another. One accountant might say, I have this much experience, I know about taxes and how to reduce all these things, and this is my rate. And somebody else, another accountant, would say, I just finished school, I don't really have any experience, but I'll be happy with this amount of money. Same thing for let's say social media experts. Somebody might say, I have 1 million subscribers, whatever that means. Somebody would say, I'm just starting social media, I don't have anyone. So the rates are different. But they would ask whatever rate they wanted from the client. So everybody would love doing what they do, and they're excellent at it. And meanwhile, the client gets to not have to worry about any of those other things other than the baking that she loves to do. And then we would do, for promotional, we might do like something was called at the time, was big, flash mobs, where people just like all of a sudden break into singing or dancing or whatever at a public place, and then we would advertise for the client at the end of it. And some people would videotape it and maybe post it somewhere, and it could go viral or not. So my point is that this is my one of the things that I do. This my big picture. My big picture is to try to bring people together who love doing what they like to do. It's one of the things I do, many projects, and they would be happy doing what they do. Their own. Oh, that's the other thing I was saying. Work on at the time of the day that you are most productive, because I'm a sort of a productivity expert, and I love efficiency. So if someone is a morning person like me, I'm up before the sun's up, and so I would say, if that's the most productive time of the day for you, that's when you work. Don't work once the sun goes down and your brain is on autopilot. Now, conversely, someone might be a night person, and so you work at night. You want to sleep in till 11 o'clock, sleep in till 11 o'clock. You're your own boss, but I want you to, if you're going to work on a project, I want you to work at a time that you're most productive. Now, imagine if you go to a regular company, even all these so-called different companies like Facebook and Google and all that, there's a start time, there's a finish time. Now that they're calling people back to the office, you have to go, and you can't just go to the office and just veg, because you're not productive, but they want you to be there at that particular 9 to 5, for instance. Or what if you're productive from 6 on? Anyway, also if for instance, say you get depressed on a rainy day, don't work on that rainy day. If you say you take whatever number of days off. Say if you want to work from another country, you're on vacation, because we don't have an office or whatever, as long as you get your work done. This is some of the things that during the pandemic people were talking about doing. I designed this and I started this firm 12 years ago. It didn't catch on. I couldn't get people to, enough people to do it. And it's funny because it's hilarious actually, because some people were so entitled. They were saying, fairly young, you just finished school. They would say, I would say to them, like, Amazon was not, when I say Amazon, I'm talking like in the sense of their stocks or productivity or where they are. They were not profitable for the first 5 years. So you're not going to come to me and say, I want $500 an hour. A, no one knows you. B, we haven't got clients that could maybe, perhaps to start with, we haven't got our names out, that would be willing to pay you for your $500 an hour. You have to prove yourself, and then the more you have, more jobs you have, people will say, well, I really like Jane because I like her work ethics, I like the quality of work, I like her dedication, all these other things, I'm willing to pay more. They're willing to pay more. You're asking for more. Clients are still giving you contracts, and you're getting more known and better known, and you're your own boss. And so yeah, you can demand whatever you want, but you're just starting out, no one knows you. You can't just think this is like an Amazon or Google, like, I'm going to hire you for $100,000 a year. You just go play foosball or air hockey or sit on the lounge, listen to your music. That's not how it works. It's all about productivity. So anyway, my point was that I bring people together to do pretty much only what they like. I've talked about this before. When and if I'm allowed to start my own community, if there's someone who likes animals, it wouldn't just be, oh, you like animals, you go look after the animals, because that's too broad for me, because they may only like chickens. They may only like, it's not even say, okay, you look after the chickens and ducks and geese and grouse or whatever, because they may only like chickens or they may only like geese. So I would say you only look after those geese, or you only look after those quails or whatever. And because if someone only loves only doing what they love to do, and they're going to so excel that we would have the best properties of whatever that you're trying to achieve. Say if it's quails, for their feathers or for their eggs, for their meat, whatever it is, we would be known for offering the best of the best. So that's one of the things I do. I'm trying to encourage you, if you haven't already picked up on that, I'm trying to encourage you, this video, that there's nothing wrong with you. If you've been diagnosed with dyslexia, ADD, ADHD, mild autism, Asperger's, whatever, there's nothing really wrong with you. You're different. Definitely you're different than other people, but different. I like different. I look for different. So somewhere out there, people are going to finally, maybe one day, recognize you. I recognize you already. Now, if I can have my community, my only screening for folks that are different is that they're respectful, that they're givers and not takers. When I say respectful, I mean if you're a religious person, you leave the people that want to have nothing to do with religions alone. If you think this is, in particular, some Asperger's believe that they're so intelligent and whatever, but then the thing is, they only know about this one thing, 2 things, 3 things. There's a whole other group of things you don't know about. Don't get too arrogant thinking you're so intelligent because you know about this one thing intuitively or however you were designed. But there's nothing wrong with you otherwise. And I suggest, I don't take any medications, pharmaceuticals, nutraceuticals, nothing. I've never smoked even a marijuana or a regular cigarette. I don't drink any alcoholic beverages. I'm not saying it's not a judging thing. I just don't want to alter in any way who I am. This is it, and I'm not perfect. I'm not by any means perfect. I have many haters. I tell you right now, and but the thing is, I'm okay with it, and if you can be okay with it, then why would you want to be taking whatever medications or even smoking a joint? So because today I don't want it to become a crutch for you, saying, oh, I had to stop at a red light, oh, my day's ruined, so let me light up a thing. I'm not judging. I'm just thinking you have to learn to live with the difficulties, however small, however big. And if we can maybe take that and turn it upside down, just like that ADHD that I was saying to you before. But anyway, there's your homework. Think about that. Think about all the good things that you can do, all the things that you're good at, and then see what adjective comes with that, and then turn the acronym ADHD and pick the first letter of it and come up with a way of explaining that, and that would reflect you. I think my battery is about to die. I don't know. I can't see on the other side, and I don't have the screen flipped up because I don't want to look at the screen. But if you have tips for me, yeah, I have so much to learn. But for others, write it on they say comment below, and share it, and don't let and encourage maybe other people. If you've made it, if you're somewhere that excuse me, a good place where you can help someone else know that they're okay. They really are okay. Excuse me. Did I swallow one of these fairy things? And collectively we can do great things, like that micro mosaic. By ourselves, you can just stay home, and the depression isn't far behind. Why do that when you have a support group? Do you know what I mean? When you know that there are other people that are like you. And I also don't want you to get too comfortable and caught up with connecting with people that are carbon copies of you. That's also, that's good for support, if you're having a particularly bad day. But to live, this is what I mean by being able to work with what you have, which is a gift, which are gifts. Be able to learn to be able to learn to be able to be around or include others in your life in a way that makes you whole. I love brainstorming. I love asking folks for their point of view, because as much as I like the big picture, if you can imagine this. So imagine a picture like when you go to art gallery, there's like a rectangular or a square picture, but it's 2D. You're looking at it. It's flat. The big picture that I'm talking about is not a flat picture. It's more like a spherical picture in orange. So I'm still only looking at it from the side of it that's facing me. But I don't know. I can't see unless I turn it, right? I can't see this point of view. I can't see this. Surely can't see that point of view. But if I have people around me who say there's 4 of us at the 4. I know Apple doesn't have a corner, but you get it. Stay with me. We're at 4 sides of this apple, right? So I have my point of view from where I'm looking at it. He has his point of view. She has her point of view. We all have each different point of view. So if we express it, if we talk about it, if we share it and brainstorm, then you've covered all the angles, so to speak. And if instead of 4 people now, you have 8. You've got more covered. Now that's still, we're going around this orange, but now imagine from a top-down view or bottom-up view. There's so much to cover. I would love to brainstorm with you on whatever projects that you have, or ideas, or ideas that you might have, because that's what I have a lot of. Maybe I can provide some insight. Maybe you can help me figuring things out. This is why I have this place here, so that people, the gathering place, I mean, there's literally this place, the main building too, but people, we can come together and figure out how to make things work better, more efficient, more cost effective, easier, because for me, it's not that, okay, I figured out how to do this, now I can go and lie down on the couch and retire for the rest of my life. It's not that. It's just so that I can have more time and brain space. I only have so much to go and work on something else now that I've pretty much figured this one thing out. I say pretty much because I don't know if I believe in perfection. I don't think we can reach what's that? What do you call that when you reach that? There's a point where you can't do any better than that. I know you're yelling at me, but I can't hear you. But anyway, so even when we think that we figured something out as perfect, this thing's running smoothly and whatever, efficiently, down the road, a year or 2 or 3 or 5 years down the road, you might think, oh my God, if I were to apply this concept to this machine, or to this idea, to this whatever, it would be even so much more better, so much more smoother, so much more efficient. See what I mean? When I go places and people ask me to rate them 10 out of 10, I'm thinking, you didn't do, not only you didn't do anywhere near 10 out of 10, but even if you think you did 10 out of 10, there's still room for improvement. I don't understand how anyone wants 10 out of 10. Folks, don't rate me. Don't ever give me a perfect review or whatever. Can you hear? I don't know. Because I don't believe in it. I don't believe I can be perfect. I don't believe there's such thing as perfection. Anyway, I will leave you with that. I'll go and charge that. And it's a beautiful day, mild day. And I want to shoot, if I can. Somebody says shoot's not a good word. I want to make another video on another topic. This is a big topic to me. Come on, what are you doing? But it's not as a big groundbreaking topic as this spectrum thing. But I want to see if I can charge that and go do another one, do a video on something else before the day's over. And I have a lot of garden work to do, because this is a bonus day today. Thank you so much for being here, yeah, write your comments, and let's get together and do something great for yourself, if not for the humanity. Bye.